On this episode of Internet Business Mastery, we talk about how to structure an internet business partnership for success. And in the quick tip, we share an easy way to create a custom URL shortener.
Welcome to InternetBusinessMastery.com, where you will learn to take control, make more money, and start an internet business today. Here are your hosts, Sterling and Jay.
Hey everyone, I'm Sterling.
And I'm Jay.
And we're here to help you discover how internet business will assist you in taking more control, enjoying more freedom, and making more money. For more information how to start an internet business, visit freevideogift.com to get exclusive content to help you get started right away. So Jay, what's up in this wonderful world of internet business?
Well, something I've been thinking about lately is, we're all about, we have one of the most sustainable, easy to start, inexpensive business systems out there on the internet for people to start. So if they, we want people to come in, create a business. I mean, like you just said a second ago, that helps people take more control, enjoy more freedom, make more money. Not just for the next month or 2 or 3 or 4, but, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, without having to constantly scramble to the next big thing. I mean, that's one of the big difficulties that really, I guess maybe plagued is a strong word, but that was a problem in internet business early on is, there's lots of different ways you can potentially make money online, and people would dash from this to that to the other, AdWords is the big thing now, and a lot of people made big money on AdWords, but that lasted for a couple years, and, you still can make some money there, but not like the gold rush of back then, or it's like, oh, now there's, money to be made over here and over there, and so, there's got these quick money strategies, but then they're kind of fleeting, and so then people are, either you've got these waves of people coming up behind that by the time they're trying it out, that's already moved on and it doesn't work as well anymore. So then they're all frustrated. And even those who did make some money off of it, now they're stuck having to go and scramble to find the next thing to make some money and sustain their living on. So that's why, you and I, we've always focused on, let's teach a strategy that we know has always worked, will always work, is going to continue to work, and bring fulfillment and money to, the people who apply it. Now, to go along with that, though, people, when they're first getting started, at the same time, what they want is, they want to make money now, today, yesterday. They want to make money, see that that's actually possible, and make money as quick as humanly possible online. And there's definitely ways to do that. But, they might not necessarily, so it's that I definitely face this in this whole, several years of building my entrepreneurial journey of chasing after the quick money, or spending time building also the foundation that's going to see to my goals in the long term as well. So I know you and I have been talking a lot lately about that desire. I mean, we always say market what people really, really want. But at the same time, you want to be responsible and give them what they need for long term as they discover, how to make this all work for them. But it's so, I was on the phone with somebody the other day that's been dabbling in this, and she made her first, it was probably $20-30 in affiliate commissions or something. And she was just so thrilled, so ecstatic. It was the most exciting thing ever to her. That, and it wasn't necessarily in a vein of what she was ultimately trying to do with her internet business, but she just kind of threw this thing out there and tried it out in the meantime. And it was like, wow. And the amount of motivation and excitement I saw that give her, I was thinking about, I think I was talking to the Academy people in one of our Q&As or something. Maybe I even mentioned on the show how, one of the biggest motivators is a sense of progress, and certainly making that first money online, whether it's $1, $20, $30, $50, $100, or even $1,000, whatever. You're just like, wow, I just made money, and that means I did it once, I can do it again. And it really is a big boost in confidence. So I guess that's what I've been mulling over lately, as I know you have as well, is thinking about what are some of those fast money strategies that we could, not that it takes forever. And one of the wonderful things about the system we take is you don't have to wait the year or 2 or 3 to make money like a lot of businesses out there where, in fact, you go in the hole for 2 or 3 years before finally then you come back into the black. Thankfully, the internet business and what we teach is not like that at all. But is there even a way that we could give tastes of even quicker money strategies? I mean, not promising, $1 million in 30 days, but, promising, yes, you will make money in the next month, just to give people that boost in confidence. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've always liked, since we started, 5, 6 years ago, the steady increase and even doubling of income each year following very, sturdy, foundational strategies. It has been awesome. But yeah, just like you mentioned, it does take a couple of months to, see that happen. And yeah, definitely family members are the ones that remind me of how, some people are like, look, if I could just get a couple $100 more a month, that would be awesome. Now, we've designed our business to teach people how to replace their entire income. So it's a different business model. But yeah, I agree. It's definitely one of those things where if we could add an element of, okay, well, you're going to make money in the first 30 days. Now, it might not be part of the long-term business that we teach you to design, or maybe it is. That's just the next step of doing this, I guess, for us, is to add both elements. We've got the long-term replace your income strategy. Now we're definitely interested in those, getting that money even quicker.
Right. Absolutely. Well, here's what I'd like to do. I know you and I are looking around, keeping our eyes out, thinking about this. The funny thing is we've been teaching and doing this, this long-term foundational replace your income kind of business for a while. And like I said, it's constantly changing the fast money strategies. And while, we do keep our ear to the ground on those things as well, definitely our focus has been in the really sustainable model. So I think what I'd like to do is kind of put that call out to our listeners. So you, the listener right now that's hearing us talk about this, if you have had success in making quick money, there's a new system, idea, channel, or whatever that you tried out, and very quickly, in a month or two, we're able to see some income coming in. Or if you know somebody who has, or maybe you even have a product of your own that teaches this kind of strategy, we definitely would love to hear from you, and chat with you about it and see if there's some way we could work together. And we're just trying to collect as much information as possible and really see what's out there in the landscape. Of course, to be able to bring this to the people who listen to the show, or Academy members and things like that. So if that's something that you think you have input on, we definitely want to hear from you. Please shoot us an email. You can contact our support team, who will forward it on to us by email, shooting an email over to support@internetbusinessmastery.com, and we would be thrilled to hear from you.
And now, the features segment.
So this episode's going to be a bit of a follow-up to last episode. In the last episode, we talked about the pros and cons of partnerships. So we thought it would be good to not leave you hanging and actually talk about maybe how to structure and put it together an internet business partnership that will succeed for you. And interestingly, this is something it seems like a lot of people have been asking me about lately. It came up in that mastermind we had here in Portland a little while ago. I had a friend a couple months back said, "Hey, can I sit down for lunch? I've got this partnership I'm considering wanting to put together. I know you have a successful partnership. I want to pick your brain on it." And that's where I talked to him about the pros and cons. And then I said, okay, so if you're going to do this, here's a few pointers you want to think about as to really how to put this thing together the right way so it doesn't bite you down the road. So let's go ahead and chat a little bit about that. I've jotted down here 8 different points that we can talk about a little bit to help people, once they've evaluated the pros and cons, so they can actually put together now the partnership in a way that will succeed for them. Of course, the first of these 8 things is, well, to find the right partner. And probably the biggest question is, well, how do you do that? And it's a little bit of that whole opportunity and creating, how they say luck is, preparation meets opportunity. So having in mind what it is that you want and need, and then also putting yourself in all the right places so that when the opportunity presents itself, you recognize it and go, oh, here we go, the person I've been looking for. Of course, with us, it kind of just, it wasn't like I was out there looking for a partner, so it kind of fell into our laps, and over a couple of years just formed into this partnership of Internet Business Mastery. So I don't know, we got lucky, very fortunate the way it worked out, but I do think that there are things that people can do to maybe speed that process along.
Well, actually, the thing that we did was we started masterminding. So,
yeah, that's true.
We talk about doing mastermind groups, and I think that's a great place. And in fact, masterminding with you was our partnership. And then I had another partnership that was because of a mastermind group as well. And then I've certainly gotten many offers from mastermind groups. And in fact, the majority of let's say partnership offers, if not actual partnerships, have come all completely from masterminding in one way or another.
So probably kind of a couple steps somebody could take is the first thing you got to sit down and think, well, what is it I'm looking for in a partner? And I think some things that are useful there is, we've talked a lot about knowing your strengths, things like Strengths Finder, the book Unique Ability, assessments like the Colby assessment. If you know what it is that you enjoy doing, what your fulfillment factors are, the things you're good at, then you kind of know, well, what kind of person do I need to find to complement what it is that I'm doing? And for instance, in that Portland mastermind where we had some of our coaching students there, one person in particular was saying, well, I have all these great ideas for content. I have these skills that are hard to find. People value these skills in me. But what I don't have is like the systematic thinking of how to implement and project manage and make sure that everything gets done in the right order and that nothing gets overlooked. And so she realized I need that kind of partner. So, through discussing with us and taking those assessments, she'd figured out what kind of person, and now she's, on the lookout for that. But, it's good to know, well, what kind of partner do I need? And then the second thing is just put yourself out there in the right places. So like Sterling said, go to masterminds, form masterminds, go to clubs, go to meetups, go to conferences, talk to people, let it be known, let colleagues know, put it out. If you have a Twitter following, Facebook following, let people know, hey, I'm looking for a partner. Just get the word out there and put yourself in a lot of places. And then some opportunities will start coming out of the woodwork. Now, if you already have a following and already been doing the things for a little while and you're thinking you want to add a partner to your venture or start a new venture with a partner, if you've already got a network, it gets a lot easier. The opportunities should, like Sterling said, he's had many different offers come to him about partnerships. But even when you're just starting out, just getting yourself out in the right places will help. But first know what kind of partner it is you want. So that's tip number one in forming a partnership. Number two is once you find that person, make sure that you discuss with them what your definite major purpose is. That's something, maybe you haven't heard us talk about that if you haven't listened to the show for very long, but we mention this a lot. We teach it in the academy. It's in the very first module. And it's just knowing what it is it that you really want to bring to the world? What are your strengths? What are the things that you value most? What are those unique abilities that you have? And, kind of projecting forward towards the end of your life, what are the things that you're hoping that the few things that you're hoping you really have accomplished? And, so for instance, for myself, right now, my definite major purpose is to, spend as much of my time as possible sharing resources and knowledge with entrepreneurs that help them, or with potential entrepreneurs that help them enjoy more freedom and fulfillment and happiness in their lives. And so the more time I spend doing that, the more I feel fulfilled and like I'm fulfilling kind of the purpose that I have for myself.
Yeah, for us, I know when we first did our definite major purposes, they were almost exactly the same, even though we did them separately and came together. Oh, what's yours? What's yours? And that certainly helped. An old partner and I, actually a couple of old partners, would have never even filled out or taken the time to do a definite major purpose. They would have thought it was dumb, which would have been a big sign and would have saved me a lot of hassle. You know what I mean? Like that would have been a great red flag in the beginning if they're like, oh, that stuff's stupid, and I wish I had have known to do that then.
Yeah, it reminds me of my college band towards the end of my last couple years of college. I put a band together, and of course it was just great to have good musicians, and I just wanted so badly to perform, and we threw a band together, and things were going, really great for the first, several months or so, but very soon, I was like itching to write original music, to create a CD of our own music and put that out there and have people appreciate that original music. Whereas a lot of the other guys in the band, what they wanted most was they just wanted to play, cool cover songs that everybody would want to dance to and they could make money at because the frats and the clubs and the associations would hire us to go and play these classic rock covers or 80s dances and things like that. And while that was fun for a little while for me, what I really wanted to do is write original music and put a CD out, and that disconnect there eventually ended up breaking the band up. I mean, everything was fine and we were friends and stuff, but that was just, one thing that happened that if we had maybe talked originally like, hey, this is what we each really would like to do. And, it wasn't that they didn't want to do original music at all, but even in there, they had a different vision of kind of what that original music would be. And they still wanted to spend a lot more time doing the covers. And so anyway, so it's just a story or example. If we just sat down in that first month and talked about that, we could have either found a compromise to fit both of our needs or else just realized, hey, maybe this isn't the best fit. But that said, you know what? I'm actually happy I had that band because some of those people are still friends with me today. But so what can I say? All right. Point number 3, discover each other's strengths and work with them. So we already talked about knowing your strengths. And so, obviously when you sit down and talk or are having this chat with somebody that might be a partner, you need to know, okay, well, what are their strengths? And maybe they already have a good sense of them. Maybe even have them take Strengths Finder and take the Kolbe assessment and sit down and talk and compare some of those notes, because it really will help not only in finding out, are you a good fit? Do the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle go together and snap together nicely? But also as you move forward and decide, okay, well, here's what each of us is going to bring to the table or work on, or here's what each of our focus is going to be, you'll be able to, make those decisions more strategically, and hence, really, have the sum be greater than the whole be greater than the sum of the parts, because you're each resonating with your ideal strengths and the ideal things that fulfill you.
Yeah, so for instance, one of the things that we found over the years, like at first, for us, we were trying to do everything in the business very, very equally. And like, for instance, the show, let's say there's 7 points or 8 points, I would do 4 and Jay would do 4. And we tried to just keep everything very, very equal. And as we really started developing and finding what our strengths were and realizing we were trying to stay away from taking time to develop our weaknesses and instead just really, really focus on our strengths, what ended up happening is, we noticed that Jay has an incredible strength for teaching and outlining, education and this kind of stuff. And I really like to tell stories and give examples and basically just add my 2 cents worth to his education system. And then we started just doing it that way instead of thinking it had to be, a way that maybe really didn't focus on our strengths, like me having to say every single point very, very specifically like that doesn't work as well for me. It's not my strength. And had we kept doing that, then I would have been trying to, work on a weakness. So that's the cool thing about knowing those strengths and being able to merge together and figure out what's the best way that we can both play to our strengths. That's going to be a really important thing. And one of the things that might be rugged, I guess, if I was picking a partner now, is if we had the exact same strengths. Then, there might be, I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, there might be some problems then, unless you're both just like, okay, well, we'll just split those things exactly equal.
I guess the difficulty there would be if it left holes in your business. So, if you both were really creative people with lots of ideas for content, but neither of you were systems people, well then, you've got this big important hole in your business. And so you have to decide, do we need another partner to fill that hole, or is this something we could outsource or hire somebody? And a lot of times when you're starting your own business, you don't necessarily have the money to go because like a systems thinker, project manager could be an expensive thing to go and outsource and hire somebody. So your only option is to bring somebody in who's going to be building up their own equity in the business. So I guess that's the only problem, is if you're so well matched that then it leaves this big hole over here that's not being filled. That's one problem that comes to mind in that case. All right, so after you've talked about each other's strengths and made sure that those work together so you can be efficient and fulfilled as you move forward, then talk about expectations. So that's point number 4, is be very clear about expectations. So talk about, hey, what would you like this business to look like in 5 years? What's your primary goal in this business? Is it to, is it about making a certain amount of money? Is it about having a certain kind of impact in the world? What are some of the values that we want to put forward in the content? What are the things that are important to each of us? And some of this ties back to definite major purpose, obviously, as well. But, if the one person's thinking, well, I want to build this, in 5 years, I'm thinking that we're going to have an office downtown and there's going to be about 50 employees and this is going to be a $10 million business a year and things like that. And the other person's going, oh, well, wait a second. Like, I don't know if that's really in alignment with my lifestyle. I'd like still in 5 years to be working out of my home and I don't want to have to manage employees. So these are things that you need to talk about, kind of the vision that each of you has and what you expect, and then what you expect from each other in terms of how much time is going to be put in. Is one person bringing connections and assets and maybe money to the table, and the other person's bringing knowledge to the table, and just kind of, what is it that you're hoping each of you is going to bring to the table? Be very open about those things, and getting all those things out on the table as much as possible right now is going to be very important.
Yeah, and this is especially true about the money side. Like, who will handle the money? What kind of money views do each of you have? Is the person that's going to handle the money prompt and specific when it comes to money? Like, I had a partner that I came into a business that was already established, and the amount of money I got was a base amount and then a percentage. And I didn't realize until maybe a couple months in when I noticed I had to ask for my money for, a week and a half every single month. And then I finally asked, well, how are you getting that specific number, based on the percentages? And then he said, oh, well, I just kind of estimate. And I was like, no, that does not work for me. I mean, that estimation could be, thousands of dollars off. And, and the person didn't really, care about money at all, really. He was just like, okay, here's your money. And, it's another this much. And I had no idea he was doing that because I'm incredibly prompt and specific about how money works and how it goes out and when it goes out and all this kind of stuff. So I had no clue, and I just assumed because he had a successful internet business that he was just as specific as I was about it. But that wasn't the case, and that was about the time the partnership ended. After I said, well, maybe we should get an accountant. Right. And he's like, no, I got it. And I was like, all right, well, I can't work that way. It's like, if it's 15% of an estimation, no thanks.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Money's important. It's, and even if you're both going in starry-eyed and like, oh, we're going to change the world and like, yeah, the money will come, whatever, eventually like the money is important. That's just a fact of life. And these things need to be discussed. They need to be laid out. They need to be handled well and clearly and in a way that both people have confidence in what's going on. Or it will eat away at the partnership over time for sure.
Well, and I'll tell you, the moment it actually becomes big money, and even if both people are like, yeah, whatever, the money isn't so much of a big deal. If it's $1 million, suddenly you both will be incredibly specific and interested, I assure you.
Right.
You're like, It's not that important to you? Well, then how about I take $750,000 and you take $250,000? Yeah, right. It'll be really important then.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so the first 4 points were kind of about finding that person and then feeling out if they're the right person to potentially be a partner. So, knowing what kind of partner you want and putting yourself out there to find them. Number 2 is discuss together your definite major purpose. Number 3 was to discover each other's strengths and how you can work together with them. And number 4 was be very clear about expectations. So now let's assume that you've gone through those steps and you're thinking, okay, this person might be somebody that both of you feel like, yeah, there's going to be a potential partnership here. The next 4 steps are kind of about, well, what do you do next? And so step number 5 here would be to start out by maybe just doing a small project together first. Like maybe not tackling something that's a 2-year project where, there's huge money on the line and the stakes are really high, or, just maybe starting something that's only going to take a month, 2, or a few months. It's not like you both have to put up a lot of money. Hopefully something will come from it, obviously, and there's an outcome. But mostly where you just get a chance to work together, try it out, see how you work together, see if any things you didn't think about come up in that process. But at least it's not like, there's a lot of time or money wasted or a lot of high expectations that are suddenly being dashed, or that, maybe don't get dashed and instead you both like keep clinging to this bad partnership that just isn't working out because, you set yourself up for this big commitment that requires you to stay together if you're, unless you're going to, take all those losses. So pick something smaller first, whether it's, doing one seminar together, maybe doing one product together, maybe just doing a special series of, for us, we started this show together. It was just kind of as a fun thing, but maybe it's just saying, hey, let's do a limited video series on YouTube and we'll kind of promote it to our list and see how that goes. Or, whatever you find the thing that works best for you, but start out with a small project just to kind of feel it out and get together and see, how things gel at first.
Well, and just remember that if there are some small things that are annoying during the small project, I assure you they will get bigger when the money comes in. So those are definitely the times during doing this little, like if Jay and I started the podcast and I don't know, there was something that was incredibly different about us when we were doing it, or our processes were different, or whatever. Like, clearly you could look at those as red flags, because it's not like those are going to magically change once you do a big project or you start making the money. So that's why it's really important to look at those red flags on a small project first.
Yeah, so many people bank their hopes on the other person changing. I mean, you see this in relationships all the time. That's not necessarily just personal relationships. Boyfriends, girlfriends, and marriages or business. Where it's just like, oh, but it's all right. Like, everything will finally. And chances are, like, if there's a big red flag, chances are things are not going to change, and they're only going to magnify. So yeah, it's better to be honest about assessing those things now. Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess the small projects is what dating is. Right? Like,
yeah, it's like, exactly. It's like let's have a little bit of courtship here before making this thing official. Exactly.
Yeah. What's it like going to a movie and a dinner with you? Am I completely annoyed out of my mind? Maybe marriage probably shouldn't come next.
Right. Start out with dinner and a movie. All right. So the next point is this, okay, there's going to be a little bit of a spectrum here, but it's important up front to kind of make things official and protect yourself, and a couple ways you do this. So I guess the best thing is to talk about the first thing we did, even before, just when we were starting Internet Business Mastery, and it wasn't necessarily going to be, we didn't even know it's going to grow into this business that it is today. The first thing we did is that we created an LLC. And then, we both signed the documents for that. We both put, I think, $100 into a bank account. We went and opened a bank account in the name of the LLC. So it was a business account, that both of us had signing on, and we both put that $100 in there. So we had $200 in that account. And I believe, part of that money paid for, some of the documents and things for, creating the LLC. And we had just kind of a basic partnership agreement that we signed. Now, that might seem overwhelming for some people. They might think, well, I don't have the money to go and do that, because certainly creating an LLC, you could spend a few $100s having a lawyer do it. And again, you could spend $20 getting documents from Office Max or something like that. There's the whole spectrum. So it's going to be up to you and kind of assessing your own, assessing the risk for yourself and what resources you're willing or able to put in right now. I was on the phone a couple days ago with a friend, and she has a potential partnership coming up, and I was going through these exact same points with her. And I was telling her, it definitely, I was just saying, talk about expectations, talk about your strengths, make sure everything's understood and on the table. And then I said, but I would definitely try to make something official. And even if you don't go start an LLC right now, at the very least, get a piece of paper and just kind of write down, because here's the thing is, once you get together and start working together, assets are going to come out of that, maybe in the form of money that's made, maybe in form of a list that gets built, maybe in the form of content that gets created. And so it needs to be understood between the two of you, well, what is the ownership of these assets? And, is it one or the other of us that owns it? Do we each have 50%? Is it owned within a business entity? And so, that's why on the ideal side of things, you have an LLC that can own the assets, and you sign a partnership agreement, and you each have whatever percentage you agree on within the business. But at the very least, I told her, look, get a piece of paper out and write down, like, okay, here's our names, and we're starting this business for this purpose, and here's how we're splitting up all the assets, and put some things on paper and have both of you sign it, so at least there's something to look back on. Because it's easy to go, oh well, we'll just go on a verbal agreement right now, and even if you're the best of friends, later on everybody has a filtered version of how a conversation went down. Everybody has a slightly skewed perception of what was said in the moment. And so having things on paper, whether it's something informal that you do together or going all the way to, okay, going and have legal documents put together, getting something right now to formalize it. And again, based on your own resources and risk assessment is going to be very important, and definitely something that we encourage. All right, the next step is to create an organization chart. And this comes from The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And what this is all about is, he talks about making your business so that it's so systematized, and it has, operations manuals, and it's so well organized that it could be run like a franchise. Not that you're going to go out and franchise it, but, he talks about every McDonald's restaurant that's opened, there's whole manuals and everything's done exactly the same for great efficiency. And so that, you could hand the manual to anybody and they could run that restaurant for, they could run that restaurant for you. So even if you're not, in the position right now of wanting to sell your business or hand it over to somebody, it's just a really good idea to create kind of an organization chart of what are all the different hats or positions that are within this business. And this is something we did early on that really, really helped us. And so it was like, okay, well, we're going to have, and whether you call it VP of marketing or director of marketing, there's the marketing hat, there's the website hat, there's the affiliate income hat, there's the content production hat, so these different positions that need to be handled. And at first it was just saying, okay, it looks like we have about 12 different positions or hats that need to be worn in this business right now. And we both said, okay, you'll take 6, I'll take 6, where our strengths lie, and we just divvied them up in that way. And over time, we've handed, like the customer service hat, we've handed, I still oversee that myself. That's so if you want to say I'm the VP of customer service for the business, fine. But, it's something we've largely outsourced to somebody else, but, I'm still the point person, and Sterling knows I'm the point person for that. Or the VP of finance is Sterling. So, we have a bookkeeper and we have accountants and stuff, and they do a lot of the work for us, but I know that he's the point person on that. And so, I know he'll take care of it. And if I have any questions, I turn to him and ask to him about that. So drawing out this organization chart with all the different positions and deciding who's going to oversee or even do each of them is going to be, very, very helpful even early on in your business.
Yeah, the quick way to say it, I guess, is break up the org chart by strengths first, then divvy out the ones that no one wants and do that equally with the intent of hiring somebody to take care of the unwanted positions as soon as possible.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was dying to do customer service, and it wasn't like he was dying to do finances, but, somebody, and even though, again, we outsourced those things, somebody still needed to be the point person, so we're just like, okay, I'll take customer service if you take finance. So, but then, there's other things that each of us do enjoy in those positions as well, but yeah, so that's a great point. All right, the last point, the 8th point here is to have weekly meetings. Our business had so much more focus, so much more direction. I think this hugely, hugely impacted things when probably about a year and a half into it, we said, you know what, maybe we should be, and I don't remember if it was reading Getting Things Done or reading emails, something we read or something we heard from somebody finally just encouraged us to say, you know what, maybe every Monday we should get on the phone with each other. And have a weekly meeting just to say, okay, here's how things went last week. Let's look at some stats. Let's talk about what's going on. Is there anything stressing either of us out? Okay, what do we need to do this week? What's our focus right now? What are the priorities for the team that we have? What content do we need to make this week? Okay, here's some goals for the week that we want to do. And then, any other things that, like during the week, maybe one of the other of us has thought about, oh, here's something we need to chat about together. So we'll throw it on the agenda, and then we have, some agenda items and so it's just a time that each of us can kind of catch up. It's a great way to start the week. So we both come back together after the weekend. We refocus and kind of, share what we've been doing. Because, obviously each of us is handling different pieces of the business, but it's kind of good for each of us to have an idea of what's going on in the other part of the business that we're not working on. So that's just been really, really helpful in keeping things focused. And I think our business growth definitely is accelerated in doing that on a weekly basis. So I can just be over the phone or in person, depending on how your partnership operates. And maybe it's on Monday, maybe it's on Friday, maybe it's in the middle of the week. For us, we find it's really nice just to start the week out that way. But very, very important, I think, to have that weekly strategy meeting together. All right, so there's 8 tips, 8 points for structuring an internet business partnership for success. So if you just put those into action for your own partnership, you will definitely be leaps and bounds ahead of most partnerships that get thrown together without thinking of these things at all. And you definitely will greatly increase your chances of success and longevity in your partnership as you move forward. All right, we have a really cool breakthrough that came through an email that we got recently. This comes from Jim Hopkinson of SalaryTutor.com. He's got a great story. Here's what he says. He says, I love the show, and I've been listening to the podcast since the very beginning. So he's a long-timer.
Nice.
That's sweet. Going all the way back to the start.
That's a long relationship. We've known him sort of for 5-6 years now, so nice.
Yeah, we go way back with Jim. He continues, first off, I'll start out by saying I've had a pretty great job to begin with, doing online marketing for Wired.com. I volunteered to start my own Wired podcast called The Hopkinson Report. I was doing what you recommended, which was providing amazing content, being consistent, building up my personal brand. Then I looked at another passion of mine, which was career development. After some thought, I chose the niche of salary negotiation. I then wrote a very thorough ebook. Pat Flynn's sample helped a lot. I hired a great designer and was all set to test out everything you had taught me over the years. Just before I pulled the trigger, one of my former podcast guests said, why don't you just try to talk to a publisher? Next thing you know, I had an agent, a major publisher, and an official book deal. I truly feel it was because I had such great content on the blog and podcast and knew so much about the internet business that they gave me the deal. Conclusion, in April, the ebook Salary Tutor was released on Amazon and the Apple iBook Store, and the paperback comes out in August. Just want to tell all your listeners, just keep moving forward with whatever you're doing. You never know where it may lead. Thanks for listening to my story, Jim Hopkinson. And again, you can check out his site at salarytutor.com.
Yeah, Jim, that was awesome. What a great story. And thanks for listening forever. It was like as long as marriages sometimes last. Hey. And remember, there's a live question and answer call each month for Academy members where you can ask us anything about starting and running an internet business. If you're not a member, no problem. Just go to internetbusinessmasteryacademy.com and sign up now.
It's time for the Internet Business Quick Tip.
So recently, you might have noticed on Twitter and Facebook that occasionally we use URL shortener that isn't the usual, like bit.ly or bud URL or something like that, but that it actually says goibm.us/ and then a few characters like that. So clearly that's not your usuals. That's actually a special branded one that we've created ourselves to try out in a few different areas. So we thought some people might be wondering, well, how is it that you guys are doing that? Your own custom URL shortener to use on Twitter and Facebook. Well, the good news is there's some free software, free open source software that was made, I think during one of the Google Summer of Code, contest, or I can't remember. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but somehow Google, sponsored someone to create this thing. And you can grab your own version of this software and install it on your site by going to, this is kind of a funny URL, but it's URLs. So it's kind of like YOU. And then RLS, they're playing on putting U and URLs together, I guess. URLs, YOURLS.org, YOURLS.org. And you can have your tech, put that on your own web domain. And then, it just allows you to copy and paste long URLs. If you want, you can put a little bookmarklet up in your browser to be able to click and quickly shorten up, different URLs that you want to post to Twitter or Facebook, and it also tracks the clicks and stats for you. Now, we have noticed that the clicks and stats get tracked differently than something like on Bitly. So you're going to see higher numbers and different numbers. So consider that as well. However, as far as like relative popularity of different things that you're posting out there, which is the biggest thing we use it for, is to know, okay, well, what things are getting clicked more than other things. It'll definitely track that just fine and add some interesting branding to your business as well. So go ahead and give that a try if it sounds like something might interest you. URLs.org. One more time, that's YOURLS.org.
If you'd like to get dozens of resources such as this one, you can find them in the Internet Business Mastery Academy, along with video tutorials showing you exactly how we use many of them. So to get your risk-free trial membership to the Academy, go to internetbusinessmasteryacademy.com.
You've been listening to the iconoclasts of the 9 to 5, Sterling and Jay. Sterling and Jay invite you to discover one of their most popular video programs ever, the Online Business Freedom Formula. Visit freevideogift.com right now to get instant access to this life-changing video series, pulled directly from the acclaimed Internet Business Mastery Academy membership community. Go now to freevideogift.com. Take control. Make more money. Start an internet business today.